everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Murray Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry, coming to you from 3 socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide. Today we're continuing our candidate series featuring our first county board candidate. So Murray, go ahead and introduce who we have with us today.
All right, Heidi. Today we have a county board candidate from Kendal County, District 1, Anthony Magliari. Did I say that right?
Perfect.
Great. Now, Anthony is a rural kind of guy. He was born and raised in Newark and moved away and came back, and he has decided that this is his home. He is a great guy who's actually started an internet company for the area. We've had a lot of talk about rural broadband issues, and he saw this issue back before most people did in 2002, right?
Yep.
Okay, so he saw this issue in 2002, and he and some friends put together a rural high-speed internet company, which is pretty amazing.
Called NewarkNet.
So,
called
NewarkNet. That's right.
A little plug.
NewarkNet.net. There you go. Go for it.
Anthony's website is Magliari.
Magliari.com. Yep.
I said it the first time right.
You
And we'll
said it
put that link out
third time
there.
right too. Yep.
So we'll make sure we put that link out there. But I do want to introduce him and let Anthony tell us a little bit more about himself. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Murray. Thank you, Heidi. Thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. So technically, I was born in Sycamore, Illinois. But I lived around the Sycamore area and DeKalb area when I was a little kid, and then moved to the Paw Paw area, and then so pretty rural out there.
Very.
And then we actually lived in Idaho for a while, in Idaho Falls, which isn't exactly rural, but the whole state's basically rural. And then we moved to Newark when I was about 11 years old, and I've been kind of connected to the community ever since. So when I was a kid, I had moved here, and then I decided I started NewarkNet just after college in 2002 to try to deliver internet service to people out in this area. At that time, it was just dial-up that was available, and it was really bad.
I remember.
Yeah. Everyone remembers the but those are fun memories. But waiting about 10 minutes for every single thing you want to download, it was not a fun memory. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so at school, we had broadband internet access when I was away at college in the late 90s and early 2000s, and I thought that everyone should have that, and I couldn't stand coming home and having to operate a modem. So some friends and I were having a little LAN party. I think your son would know about that, Heidi.
Oh, yes.
We were putting our computers in the same room and playing computer games
That used
together.
to happen in one of my machine sheds all summer long. So
there you go. So I was doing that around the year 2000, and a friend of mine, Ryan Whalen, mentioned that if we put an antenna on the grain elevator leg, we'd be able to play these games without having to go to each other's houses and build a network. I thought that would be way too expensive. What would that be, like $1,000? I don't have that kind of money. I'm just a poor kid. But I'm like, we could pay for it if we actually sold internet off the tower to fund the network that we wanted to be able to play games. We never actually played any games. We just spent so much time doing this internet thing, and that's kind of it. Since then, Ryan has moved on to bigger and better things, but I'm still involved, and my friend Craig Pottinger is still involved too. And he's actually like this amazing trades guy who knows how to do everything from carpentry to residential and commercial electrician, the unions and everything. So he's just a great guy. He can do everything, and he's built it into something really great. I'm just here to help him along. So that's NewarkNet.
So you're not only an entrepreneur, and I think it's kind of cool that you saw a need and fixed it, which is great, which is what we need more of in politics, those who are in our elected offices. But you also are a research scientist. Again, another thing that we need more of is science, as we were talking in the pre-show. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how that connects with what you foresee with needing science bringing to the county board.
Yeah, well, I think we need more science at all levels of government. That's for sure. I could go on and on about that, but yeah. So I went to college and studied computer science and communications, and I was doing computer science type work. I was doing IT consulting, after college, and it was a really tough time around the year 2000, 2001, when the dot-com thing blew up, to find jobs there. So I found this company called Varian Medical Systems. They're the company that makes linear accelerators that treat cancer patients with radiation, and they need people to travel around the country and support their software systems that kind of control these big linear accelerators that do things like manage the office where they're in, or so the patient management tools, or the systems to design the cancer radiation treatments, called a treatment planning system for radiation. And so I spent most of my 20s traveling around North America every week on a flight to a different town to install or support one of those systems. And then in 2009, I ended up on a motorcycle accident and broke my neck, so a C4 burst fracture. And as a result, couldn't do that job anymore. I couldn't do much of anything. I was completely paralyzed from the neck down. I can actually just move this left shoulder slightly, and that's about it. I couldn't move my elbows, fingers, hands, or anything.
Wow.
So I spent about a year and a half in rehab from that experience, and I obviously knew I wanted to become independent and get back into it. So what I did, since I couldn't travel around, I couldn't go into server rooms and do all the things, climb under desks, things that people unload huge printers, or all the kind of things that job required. But I did have a lot of experience with this software and with this cancer system software. And my sister had actually become a medical dosimetrist. That's the person that operates these systems I was installing, that actually works with a radiation oncologist to help design their radiation cancer treatment for patients. Since I was working with a lot of medical dosimetrists and physicists throughout North America in that job, I knew a lot of them, and I picked up a lot of what they were doing. And I thought, maybe I could do what my sister had done and learn how to clinically operate the systems that I had been installing. So I went, as soon as I was kind of to the point where I could start going back to school. I was living in southern Illinois at the time, in a town called Swansea, Illinois, not too far from St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And I went to Southwestern Illinois College. It's like a community college down there. And I studied anatomy and physiology. And then I got into a master's program to do medical dosimetry. And I worked in a couple different clinics around St. Louis, including, WashU, Barnes Jewish is the biggest one down there. And I was a clinical medical dosimetrist for a few years down there, learning how to get really good at that, and entered some competitions and really understood this idea of treatment plan quality and how we can do better for patients if we really learn how to fully maximize the capabilities of these systems. Got a little bit of a name for myself in the radiation oncology / medical dosimetry community. Moved up to Elmhurst to try to be closer to family, and worked at Edward Elmhurst for a little while out of Naperville and Elmhurst as a medical dosimetrist, and then got an opportunity to come back to the same company I used to work for, supporting their systems all over, now helping initially in sales, and now I help on the medical affairs team, which is kind of, if you know anything about medical device manufacturers or drug companies, the medical affairs team is really the place to be. It's the people that get to be forward-looking and kind of consult throughout the company and talk to customers, not from a sales or marketing perspective. So, you can be honest with them, or not that our sales and marketing team aren't honest, but you can really give them kind of your medical opinion, and you're not pressured to try to make a sale. In fact, you can't do anything that involves money in the medical affairs division. So I do that, and I help develop I work with teams to work on our newest systems that are going to help cancer patients all over try to get even better quality treatments than they can currently get today. Looking at things like AI, automation, new cool deliveries, things like flash radiotherapy, where we can take a treatment that maybe used to take the course of a month, going in 5 days a week for 30 fractions, down to a single fraction or just 2 or 3 fractions of less than a second each. If we can just hammer all that radiation in super fast, there's some interesting research that shows that perhaps your normal tissues, your non-cancer cells, are less affected if you can go really, really fast with the delivery. So we're exploring that, and we're working on that as well. So that's really my day job. The Newark Net thing is just kind of a fun side job. Mm-hmm. Not from my partner. He does it full time, but I just help. I just help with some of the stuff that I can do from my desk now. I don't climb on people's roofs and install antennas anymore.
No.
And then, no, I don't. But we've got good people that do that, so that's great. They're better than I ever was. Trust me. You don't really want me operating it, especially now. But even before I broke my neck, you didn't really want me operating a drill on your roof. But people that actually know how to build roofs are probably the better ones to do that, which is what we've got. We've got great carpenter type people that do that job. So Anthony, that's it.
What is it that you want to bring to the people of Kendal County in District 1 that isn't there already? I lived briefly in Kendal County, and I think you're part of Newark Yeah, in fact, I know you're part of Newark. Was in the district I also ran in, so I'm very familiar with that area. I loved reading your bio about detasseling corn and working at the BP. And if anybody's ever been to Newark, Illinois, that's like the two things you get to do: detassel corn and work at BP.
Bale hay too.
And yeah, bale hay. Yeah.
Shell corn back in the day when people did that, but now it all goes to the elevator. But yeah, baling hay was one of my favorite jobs.
Yeah.
Detasseling corn was hard work too. You have to do that down in Hinckley.
Oh,
They'd
yes.
pick you up in Hinckley, and you'd go over.
Yeah.
That was when decalcomatics was the whole thing.
Yeah. So what do you want to bring to District 1 of Kendal County?
Right. So, one thing I look at the board and see today is that I mean, I think they're really pretty reasonable people that work together pretty well. There's different personalities on there, but I like the fact that they work together, and it's usually not all that partisan. It does sometimes get partisan, but so I like that. I think that's a great group of people to work with. One thing I noticed that most of them are from either Oswego or the Yorkville areas. Not a lot of them live in the rural parts of the county. There's maybe a couple, but for the most part, especially or on this side of the county, I don't think anyone lives in District 1 in the rural areas.
No.
So we had an issue where the Millington Bridge was deemed unusable like 3.5 years ago, and they shut it down one day.
Yeah.
And it was a real big problem. It's been shut down for like over 3 years. It just recently opened a week and a half ago, and I know that people on the board were trying to get it done, and they were working with LaSalle County, and there were all these kind of delays, including things nature that couldn't even be helped with the water level being so high that they couldn't actually work on it.
That was a problem. We had two really wet years in a row down here, and 2019 and 2018 were unbelievably wet, and we had a lot of difficulty along the Fox River with a lot of different things, and I did not think about that until now, but I'm sure that impacted that. I can't believe how long it took to fix that.
3 years.
To fix that bridge, because I had gone canoeing down there right when they had deemed it unusable, and then the next year I went by and it was still shut down, and I thought, okay, so, and then for me, trying to get from my part of LaSalle County to a different part of Kendal or into Sandwich, that was one of the thoroughfares that we use, and it was closed forever. So, and at one point they talked about not even reopening it, I'm like, what? To go around.
No, you can't do that.
To go around.
It's like 20 miles to go around it. It's horrible. And in Newark, when we're trying to get out there to service people's homes, live on the other side of that river, I mean, just adding all that time, and it's just ridiculous. And I see my doctor in Sandwich. I go across that river, or try to go to Sandwich, and I mean, it's impossible, right? I mean, it's not impossible, but it certainly adds a lot to your time. So we're really excited that it's up. But early on in the process, when it wasn't so ridiculous, I mean, the last 2 years were ridiculous because of the water level. But the first year was just kind of a confluence of errors and waiting for all the different governmental bodies that were working on that project to get their acts together. I do think if people on the board actually use that bridge regularly, like those of us that do out in the rural areas, it wouldn't have taken 3 years. Hopefully would have gotten it solved, in that first year when things were just, there were fixable problems. It wasn't just nature that was working against. So those are the kind of things that I think immediately people from my area understand and agree with, that we need people from this part of the county on the board. District 1 is big, and it should just all be people from like Yorkville, Bristol, Montgomery. Not that we have anything against them, but we need all kinds of diverse opinions and people that live in different areas.
Kendal County is very, very diverse, from Platteville, and which when I lived in that area, you couldn't even buy a can of soda in Platteville. There was nothing. I don't know if that's changed or not, but it's such a rural area, and then you get up into Montgomery, where it's just outside of Aurora, so it's urban, right? So
it's not.
It is. I mean, compared to Platteville, it's urban, but it's suburban.
I mean, urban. I don't know about urban, but I would say solidly suburban.
Yeah. But it's a lot, not urban, but suburban, and I also know that suburban is kind of a bad word when you live in Yorkville. You're like, I'm not a suburb, we are not a suburb of Chicago.
Oh, I know, we hear it all the time. So the other thing that I wanted to hit on, and then we do have to wrap it up, is you mentioned something as we were talking prior about the forest preserve and bringing more amenities, including more bike trails, connecting bike trails that are
Right.
already in existence, really helping people expand their use and enjoyment of the forest preserve. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Right, so that's great, and not just the forest preserve, but at the county board level, we can also try to utilize some of the county roads that we have as well. But we have a bunch of disjointed bike trails that don't always connect. Most of them don't connect in Kendall County, but a lot of them are getting close. And I would like to try to find ways to do things like there's a Bristol Ridge subdivision on the north end of Yorkville. There's
Right.
Rain Tree on the south end of Yorkville. Both of those have decent bike paths within them, but they're just stuck. And we're getting closer at Raintree. I'd like to find ways to get those connected. The quicker the better. I lived in Elmhurst and I lived down in St. Clair County, and we had a lot of good bike trails there, and it just brought people out of their homes, and it got people to talk to their neighbors and exercise and get outdoors, and it seemed to like really add a lot of value, and I'd love to see us be able to have more of that in Kendall County. So that's one of the things that I'm running on that I'm personally passionate about. I'm not sure how much it resonates with everyone here in Kendall County, because the big concern here is the tax rates, and that they're high because we want decent schools and we want libraries and such. But so we need to find ways to do it creatively and cost effectively, but try to find ways to be able to add value to the community and get people out of their homes. I do like.
And I think right now, especially in COVID land time, in bizarro world, I think people are looking for those opportunities to get out and do something in a safe environment. I know I have 3 sons. Luckily, they're older. The oldest is 17, but still, we're always looking for something. And I think even as we move past this COVID, people are going to really appreciate what they have as far as parks, as far as recreation.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing more people buy in the suburbs and more people push further out, that's going to become a big selling point, that you can use the rural area, the nature aspects, as a lot of the counties and cities in the areas around you use.
Right.
And maximize those, not only for tourism, for recreation, but I think that's a nice forward-thinking plan. I like that.
Well, and the other thing, Anthony, that I wanted to touch on is you have a video that's going to be launching in the next few days, talking about the tax rate in Kendall County and in Illinois, and how that money is spent.
Yeah.
What the property taxes go for. And Illinois is facing a huge challenge this fall with the fair tax initiative, which you and I, the 3 of us, all know that is what's going to directly impact property taxes and cause them to lower as we change how we fund our public school system, which is the biggest drain or the biggest cost, I should say.
It's in the 70% of your property taxes goes to the public schools,
and
right?
When we shift away from the property tax model for school funding and onto general revenue through income tax, our property taxes are going to drop, and people are going to start being really happy then, But I love the fact that you put it.
I would love to see them drop. I would think that they could drop. Will they actually drop?
Well,
I don't know. They certainly won't get any worse, right? That's the idea.
Well, and we need to go and talk to our school boards, because they're the ones that set these rates, or that ask for this certain amount. And once they get better funding, we all have to do our due diligence and lobby our school boards to change it. However, the video you have coming out explains how the taxes are used under the current model we have, and how people can save some money, where your money goes, and that sort of thing. So when that comes out, we want to be sure and link that link to your video. So I just thought
yesterday, Robin Vickers, who's currently on the board, she's from District 2. She's been really vocal about people understanding their tax bill. I thought it was a great opportunity for us to collaborate and make a video that explains, here's your property tax bills, here's mine in Newark, here's hers in Oswego. Let's see where the money goes, and let's talk about, first of all, obviously, I would make sure everyone has their exemptions, but I think most people have that. Talk about the fact that you can, if you think your property tax value is too high, you can appeal it,
right?
And then just go down the list of where all these things go, and really there's value in every single one of those line items. In the county board, what we can do at the county board is about 8% of your tax bill. And it's not a whole lot. We've been historically really well managed fiscally in Kendall County.
Yes.
So what we can do at the county level to take money out of it is limited, but we need to be looking for everything we can do. And to your point, Heidi, the schools and the fair tax, luckily that's a state issue, something I don't have to advocate for as much, but I know that I know it's important, and I'll be voting for it. Even if it does raise my taxes someday, or even now. I don't think it does now. I did the little fair tax calculator. I don't think anyone I know that can do the fair tax calculator can make it actually increase your taxes.
I don't know too many
That's
people
today,
that
right?
make over $250,000 a year. So those are the ones
Right.
that are really fighting it and convincing others that it's going to raise everybody's taxes, which it clearly isn't, because it's already settled law. They've already set the parameters for it. And yes,
And
everything
I
can
think to
change.
be really clear,
Yeah.
It doesn't impact your taxes that you. It doesn't impact your income that you make that's below $250,000, right? So
No,
Nope.
it doesn't.
$251,000 that's penalized.
Yeah.
So if you make 249 or you make 255, I mean it's going to make zero difference to you. If you make 500, yeah, that last 250 is going to be taxed at a higher rate.
You know,
Right.
the other thing is that passing fair tax will prevent retirement income from being taxed, which they can do without a 2/3 vote. And as somebody, my husband's retired, God, I don't want to pay taxes on it. You know, we can't afford. People on fixed incomes can't afford that. I'm still working, but his working career is over. And
Yeah, making the income more fair, right? People that can afford to pay the higher taxes should pay higher taxes. People that can't afford it should pay less. But I believe everyone should pay something. Everyone has some skin in the game.
Yeah.
But we need to make it equitable. We need to make it so people,
Fair.
you know, with fair is the key word, right? But we want to make it so we're not overly burdening those with low incomes these people that want a flat tax or that we have now. It sounds fair in theory, but it's far from fair, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
To be able to balance a budget on a flat tax, you put a severely higher burden on those people that make less money.
Yes, especially those making under 40,000.
But it goes down to the old myth. They're the job creators. They're the ones that pay the people who have to pay the taxes. So we have to give them a deal so they hire more people,
Trickle down doesn't.
so that they spend more money, because they're the ones that are going to spend the money, right? But in actuality, what happens is they are not spending their money. They're keeping the money and accumulating the wealth and creating a greater division without paying for the things that help them get to where they are. So
Right.
I totally.
Well, they spend some money, but it's maybe not on things that are going to help, like maybe a yacht is probably not going to
Right.
help.
Yeah,
And
stock
a
buyback.
yacht is not going to stimulate the economy. 15 Nissan Stanzas will help far more than one yacht.
Or a Lambo or whatever, right? Those things are probably not going to be good for us.
And hey, you want it, great, go have it. I'm not denying it, but you should definitely be contributing more to society than you are. That's what I have to say.
Well,
because you can afford to do it, right?
Yeah. So when that video comes out, we're going to be sure and post it on our page and tweet it out for you. Anyway, Anthony, we're going to have links to your page on this when it goes out this week.
Magliari.com.
Yeah.
MAGLIARI.com.
Right. Like
Go
my
to
Facebook
Anthony's page.
If you like this interview, go to facebook.com/electanthonymagliari or follow the link on the Get Involved portion on my website. And like the page. If you really like it, invite your friends to like the page. In the COVID era, social media is probably the best way outside of direct mail and possibly radio advertisements to get your word out there. I've got a lot of people that are liking the page, and it only grows more and more. We're boosting posts. We're getting the word out that way. I think we've got 400. Actually, yesterday, Maria, you'd be impressed. Yesterday, I got to 420 likes. So
420.
No.
That's at 425 or 430 now. You missed the window, but it was there.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for being on our show today. And we appreciate everything. And we will have Anthony on before early voting begins. We're going to do like a round table for all of our candidates that we've interviewed before early voting begins. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and say take care now, everybody. Find us at Heartland Mamas.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, much the way Anthony said.
Yeah.
To Heartland Mamas. If you like us on video, you can catch us at YouTube, any place you get your podcast. And, of course, proud partners of the Demcast USA Network.
Yes.
So like, subscribe, share. Thanks for joining in.
Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.